Friends, a very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you to yet another exciting episode on video podcast series along with Ajai Kumar. Today, I'm extremely delighted to welcome Dr. Shvetank, who actually leads the Raleigh Cary Center for the Brahma Kumaris. So, Om Shanti, Brother Shvetank.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Brother Ajay. Om Shanti.
Absolutely our pleasure, and I'm sure it'll be a pleasure for everybody listening to this podcast because what we're going to be discussing today could actually be a life game changer for so many of us in the world today and much needed. So, thank you once again for taking your time off and joining us over here.
My honor, my pleasure, dear brother.
Awesome, awesome. For the benefit of the audience, Dr. Shetank, he's actually with associated with several hospitals over here. He is actually one of the most well-read individuals I've come across, and with immense knowledge, you can talk to him on any topic, and you will hear just nuggets of information, knowledge coming across. But what is most exciting is the fact that he brings a very unique blend of spiritual wisdom for all of us, and along with practical guidance as to how individuals like each and every one of us can find inner peace, clarity, and purpose in our everyday life. And that's what Brahma Kumaris is all about. And the center over here in Raleigh, Cary, has become a place of learning, reflection, and transformation for so many individuals and for the entire community here in North Carolina. So once again, Dr. Shwetank, thank you once again for leading that center over here and blessings to bringing so many blessings to everybody across over here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Ajay. By the way, I co-lead, if you will, or co-follow. Yeah, who is the leader, who is the follower, really. Together, we are making this happen. It is Kanishta, my wife, who is with me. Together, we do that. But also, each one of you, each one of the students who come, together, we are wanting to make something big happen in the world around us. Yeah, and each one's contribution, each one's presence is extremely valuable, extremely meaningful. And I hold only gratitude in my heart for everyone who walks through the doors of the center and 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 gives their time, gives their attention, gives their whatever help they can. So yeah, together we are making it work, making it happen.
And I can personally vouch for it because both you and Sister Kanishta have been our teachers and guru in terms of on this spiritual journey of ours. So thank you once again for that. And like you mentioned, I was about to mention about Sister Kanishta. So you already mentioned about it, but for the benefit of the audience, both of them actually, if you were to look at an epitome of servicing people, helping people out, I think Brother Shweta and Kanishta, sister, will be right there to making things happen. uh, Few things which came to my attention when I plugged into Brahma Kumaris were interesting enough, and with your permission, Brother Shwetank, I'll share that. The one is, it was very interesting for me to learn that you have millions of followers across the globe. Presence of Brahma Kumaris in give or take 110 plus countries. So world has what give or take 195 countries, 110 countries. Brahma Kumari is already there.
Yeah.
8,500 odd centers. You talk about Raj Yoga meditation, and a lot of people get confused with meditation and different kinds of meditation which are there. But the Raj Yoga, which happens to be the core, and we'll finding time, we'll discuss a little bit more about that. And another very interesting thing which I learned when I plugged into Brahma Kumari was its role of plugging with the United Nations and
Yeah.
how they are acting as a consultative partner to them. And you talk about your Economic and Social Council, you talk about Department of Public Information, you talk about UNICEF, United Nations Children's Education Fund, you talk about Environmental Assembly, you talk about Food and Agriculture Organization under United Nations, Rural People Education, which is there, you talk about climate change. The list is so endless, which is there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
Brahma
think the
Kumaris
common
has,
thing.
yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was just saying Brahma Kumaris has been able to touch pretty much the entire planet, every corner of the planet. And so yeah, Brahma Kumaris is well known now across the world, and Kanishta and I are a small part of the organization. We started our journey with the Brahma Kumaris 25 some years back, and we have learned a lot in these many years.
Right.
There's a lot to learn more on this journey. And before I go even further, I want to share what you had initially talked about, the fact that we do a lot of service. We are epitomes of service, where I would very humbly say that that's actually not true at all. We are doing just very tiny bits of service in the grand scheme of things. There is so much left to be done. The people that we come in contact with, humanity in general, we see that there is so much of pain, so much of suffering everywhere, and it feels bad to see our fellow human beings in so much of pain and suffering. So my hope is that over time, yeah,
Hmm.
Brahma Kumaris in general is doing a service across the world, but you know we can also contribute in a meaningful way in bringing lots of peace, lots of happiness in the hearts
Right.
and lives of people on this planet.
110% agreement. And as everybody will notice that apart from all the value additions which you bring to the planet ecosystem through our unique ways, uh, humility and modesty is also one of the key thing which is there as a quality for you. So, and that's great to learn for everybody in today's world in terms of being humble. And despite all the work which you do, and you're so humble down to ground. So thank you once again for that. And like I was mentioning earlier in the beginning about the one fundamental belief, I think, which everybody agrees, where everybody is looking for in today's world is peace, contentment, happiness, because that everybody maybe finds it superficially. But having a recognition from bodies like United Nations, one of them, but there's so many other bodies, organizations, corporates who are realizing the fundamental benefits which are there. And they know spirituality can help transform individuals. Individuals together will form communities, societies, nations, and the world entire ecosystem put together, how it can be a better place for all of us to live in.
Yeah, true. So
Great.
yeah. So well, what I see spirituality as, um, the study of spirit,
Hmm. Hmm.
as simple as that. So it's really the study of the self, and that's what Brahma Kumaris teaches, and that's why it has helped so many people across the planet. That's the missing dimension right now for everyone, for many people, I would say.
Right.
So the study of the self, study of who we truly are, what is our purpose in life, why are
Correct.
we here, and what is the meaning of all the experiences that we experience on a
Right.
daily basis. To understand that, that's what I see is true spirituality. And then also understanding our role in and connection with God, but all of cosmos. you know where do we stand, what do we need to do at this present moment. And that's how I would define spirituality, really. And that's how Brahma Kumaris has taken the initiative,
Right.
many many years back. It all started in 1936, to be able to help people understand the true meaning of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whatever you said is opening up layers of further questions coming across when you define spirituality. You talked about finding that purpose or meaning, a connection to some supreme power which is there, learning more about yourself, your personal growth, and everything. And we'll peel the layers of the onion as we move across over here in terms of figuring out. But coming back to you, you've been plugged in with this spiritual movement and spiritual journey of yours along with Brahma Kumari for the last 25 plus years. If you were to take a look back, Dr. Shwetank 25 years back and Dr. Shwetank today, what would be the big changes which you would notice for yourself?
Yeah. 25 years back, I wasn't a doctor. In India, you become a doctor only after you have finished internship,
Absolutely.
unlike in US. So
Right.
in US, after you have completed the medical school, you get the degree, if you will.
Right.
Uh, an internship as part of residency. So back in India, it's a little bit different. So me and Kanishka, both of us were in our internship when we happened to know about the Brahma Kumaris. Brahma
Right.
Kumaris had organized a lovely event at the medical school itself, and we went there, and we immediately were captivated by the energy, the aura, the space that the Brahma Kumaris senior brothers and sisters had created on the stage in
Hmm.
the auditorium. And after that, I went on to do the Raj Yoga meditation course, and then there was no looking back really. And before I go further, I really want to rewind a little bit
Sure.
into my early age, early childhood. Somehow, right from childhood, I had this dream, if you will, to become a physician. I don't know how it all evolved. My dad was an engineer, a mathematician, and he really wanted me to become an engineer too. But somehow something happened, and right from childhood, I would say that. And even during my, adolescence, and other as I grew further, I used to keep repeating that I want to become a doctor. So one day, my dad and I were going somewhere, and I mentioned this to him. He said that, you see, there are lots of doctors on this planet, and you are welcome to become another doctor. Go ahead and become that. But more important than anything else, become a better human being, become a good human being. And somehow that stuck on with me
Hmm. Hmm.
throughout. And so here I was in internship. I was going to become a doctor anyways. It was 100% sure. And after
Hmm.
that, we would become, specialized in some field of medicine. So that was also inevitable. So
Hmm.
yes, I would be practicing medicine. But that thought that, sure, I am becoming a physician, but I always had this thought that I want to become a better human being. And so when I came to Brahma Kumaris, what I learned is this: Raj Yoga meditation is nothing but helping us, helping each individual become better human beings.
Very nice. Very nice. So, few things caught my attention when you're speaking, actually. On a personal level, when you said, I have a similar but opposite combo as you. So, my dad is a doctor, and I pursued engineering after that. So, that was one thing which caught my attention. The other thing which was there was very interesting and encouraging to know that as a child, you said that you had an ambition or thought process in your mind saying that you wanted to be a physician and you followed through it. And not too many people are able to do that. One, identifying at a very young age what they want to do.
Yeah,
Second, being able to follow through and make it happen. So you had the blessings, like you mentioned, from your father, who, despite who wanted you to be an engineer, but when he learned about your thing, he encouraged you to become a doctor along with the good human being. So that's great again to hear, which is there. And third thing which you talked about was Raj Yoga meditation, how it helps you becoming a better individual as well as everybody else. But coming back to the one pointer which I wanted to pick from you was, through this Raj Yoga meditation, through this spirituality, what are the big things, key takeaways which all of us who are listening to the show can take away, saying that 25 years back, what you were and what you are today? What do you think are the biggest changes, top three changes which you like
yeah,
to?
yeah. Yeah, so I used to be super stressed, just like everyone else. Um, you know, no control over emotions. I used to feel frazzled all the time, um,
Mhm.
anxious because of exams, and all the challenges that life throws at us. I remember those days living in a hostel back in India, the dormitories that we
Right.
had. Food was horrible. Life in general was tough. And I remember waking up in the morning, with anxiety in my heart, not pathological anxiety, but just deep inside, and me questioning myself, why am I here? What is going on? And so there was this mm, existential angst, if you will, that was there continuously. It was a deep aching pain somewhere in the middle of the chest, and all of these things. And I remember, because of all this, oftentimes, you kind of get caught up with the things around you, in a way that there is competition. So you want to be one up against other people. You want to be better than people. And
Right.
in that process, sometimes you become more selfish, self centered. You can go on to the extent of, maybe stepping on other people's toes just to get more success. So all of these things were there, and there was, like I said, just that's existential angst, but overall, just low feeling, if I will, and
Mm-hmm.
then over these many years, now I feel as if there is no stress really. The word stress, the word anxiety, the word fear, the word sorrow, all these words have completely been eliminated from my dictionary. It's so interesting. If I look around me, and if I look within me, I have no trace of any of these. And the good thing is that, of course, there are going to be challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but challenges were there then, challenges are here now,
Right.
and maybe even bigger challenges come now.
Right.
But there is a direction. There is now a GPS which I can rely on, an inner GPS. There is a process that I have understood to be
Mm-hmm.
able to handle these situations in a meaningful way, so that life becomes much more fulfilling. So compared to that life, I mean, there's just no comparison really. Yeah.
This is super, super awesome. And I'm sure everybody is listening to this would be now thinking in their mind how to really go across to that stage. Like you're talking, saying that you talked about stress, anxiety. Look at small children, elementary school going children, and
Yeah.
you talk to them and they start use this word so loosely today, saying that there's so much stress on me.
Right.
And to be there in that position, and today you're talking about being completely free for them. You'll have challenges, but your ability to respond to them is extremely different than what it was earlier. And that's how you're able to handle and respond to them much better. So with this backdrop, maybe something on Raj Yoga meditation and how it really helps, that'll be a big learning for all of us.
Yes, yes, yeah. But even before that, just going back to the previous question a little bit, I wanted to add that, over these many years, I have become more kinder, more compassionate, more empathetic, more loving, more considerate, more tolerant, a
Mhm,
human
mhm.
being. And this is what Raj Yoga does. Hopefully, what I said just now will become a nice segue into the next question about Raj Yoga, because
Right.
that's what Raj Yoga does. It adds so many facets to our personality. It kind of it makes you shine through life. You feel so good about yourself that you can then share your goodness with the world around you. That's how I felt. And
I
so, yes, Brahma Kumaris teaches this Raj Yoga meditation, which we practice on a regular basis. And the simplest understanding of Raja Yoga word is Raja means king, and
correct.
yoga is a connection.
Hmm.
So the connection which helps us really become our own masters, self sovereigns. You see, at this time, we are subservient to the world around us.
Hmm. Hmm.
People know how to push our buttons, and we sometimes feel totally out of control. How to reclaim that control is what Raj Yoga teaches us. And so, a more controlled person can
Hmm.
then lead the life more meaningfully. Yeah. So you see, in this, the first step is self-realization,
Hmm. Hmm.
understanding about the self, who we are, who
Right.
am I. You see, you know, there are so many layers of ego that we are so programmed to see ourselves as. You
Right.
see, we think that we are, you know, the name, the other identities that the world has bestowed upon us, yeah, like nationality, religion, gender, and so on and so forth. but going back to who we were before the world taught us who we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what Raj Yoga is. Practicing the the very essence of who we are, and that is we are souls, spirits, nameless, ageless, genderless, religionless, relationshipless, all the other identities. So, in a way, Raj Yoga meditation helps us strip away all these layers of ego that we have collected over time.
Got you. Got you. No, this is very helpful. And if I were to extend the thought which you just said, uh, when you are a better person, better individual, even in your profession where you're working, so if you're a doctor, the patients who come and you interact with, they're sharing their problems. If you yourself are under stress, under anxiety, the way you will treat them will be drastically different and way, way below than what you might be doing as a controlled person, which is there. You
True.
like to share anything onto that?
Yeah, yeah. So it's a good shift into this. I love it. See, this is my favorite topic actually. so, so you see, in medicine now, medicine has become quite commercialized,
Right.
and there's a lot of defensive medicine that we physicians practice. It's because of the fear, insecurity. What
Hmm.
if the patients sue us, and so on and so forth. And in this process, we end up oftentimes subjecting patients to unnecessary tests and more inconvenience over time. And so, unless I have truly understood my fears and truly worked on them and truly
Hmm.
eliminated my fears,
Hmm.
how can I eliminate and, before that, even help people who are coming to me as patients navigate their own fears? I can't. So
Correct.
let's say a person is close to death, let's say it's a hospice patient, or many times we have patients as an anesthesiologist, I would put them to sleep, and they're afraid of going to sleep because they feel that what if they don't wake up? So if I am lingering in my own fear of death or fear of not waking up and so on and so forth, then how
Hmm.
can I free them from their fears? So that is one aspect. But also what you mentioned, let's say I am not grounded, I'm not centered, if I'm all over the place, if yeah, I'm distracted. Nowadays there is a big problem with medication errors. Um, so
Right.
yeah,
Right.
in America, US alone, I can't remember the exact number, but there are lots of deaths that can be directly attributed to medication errors because of physicians and or healthcare professionals, nurses and all becoming distracted with what's going on. So let's say there was an unpleasant experience that happened earlier in the day, maybe
Hmm.
with another physician, maybe with a patient, maybe with family members, maybe spouse, children, or whoever, for physicians. And we come to work, and if we still hold on to that baggage, then that energy is going to be infused into that interaction, and it is very possible that I may end up giving a wrong medication, or
Right.
taking care of the patient in a wrong way. Of course, on one hand, even if there's no medication error, my energy in that moment will not be as lovely, as beautiful as if I'm truly grounded and centered. So that's what I do. That's what Raj Yoga teaches us, that very early in the morning that we wake up, we
Hmm.
do this practice of going back to the essence of who we are, souls, spirits. We try to peel away all these layers. And so over time, you're able to, compartmentalize, if you will, you know situations that come up in life, so that you don't carry the unnecessary baggage from one moment to the next. You're able to let go of the past very easily, and then be fully present in that moment to give all that the patient needs,
Right.
and serve the patient. And so that way the patients feel good, you feel good, That's how I have felt in these many years. And, for me, over time, the empathy and compassion factors have grown tremendously. So, in a way, why this has happened is because, again, Raj Yoga teaches us that we are all part of one family. We are all, in a way, children of one God.
All
So,
right.
brothers and sisters. And so, earlier, there was this feeling that it is me versus you, we versus them. But now that has gone away. I
Correct.
feel everyone to be mine. I feel everyone to be an extension of me.
Right.
So if somebody else is in pain, it's really my pain. If somebody else is not happy, then it is my problem too. So in not just being present in that moment, but to see how I can really free the other person from not just physical pain, but any sort of emotional pain that the person is going through, any type of fear that the patient is experiencing in that moment. So all of these things lead to a very fulfilling experience. At the end of the day, you feel really good that you were able to serve the patients, and then you come back home not just with that experience, but actually you feel less tired.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
you have a good night's sleep actually every night.
Correct, correct, correct. Having known that in the day you were positively able to impact so many lives,
Yeah.
is such a fulfilling experience, and the feeling of content, like you said, makes you have a very nice sleep as well for yourself. And you establish the fact that all these great qualities which you developed along with the Raj Yoga meditation in your professional life has helped you service the customers, your patients, in a much, much better way. I'm presuming the same logic will extend on the personal life as well, right? In terms of your relationships which are there. Would you like to throw some light on that as well?
Yes, for sure. See, even at work, it's not just patients.
All
We
right.
have patients' families to take care of, but we can group them all as customers, if you will, that we are taking care of. But
All right.
even colleagues, co-workers,
Right.
the other physician, nurses, and other ancillary staff that we work with.
Hmm.
So, sometimes when I walk into the operating room, I see that the patient is probably the calmest. There are other people who
Oh, more.
require more calming. There's stress in the air. We
Correct.
have, because I'm a cardiac anesthesiologist by profession,
All
and
right.
so these are major surgeries, a lot of stress. Some of these patients have extremely low heart function, almost at the brink of death, and we bring them back, many times, and they get discharged in good health over time. So you see, at that time, I see many times the nurses, the physicians, the surgeons, the residents, everybody is quite stressed. So can my presence in that moment be a soothing balm
For everybody.
for everyone, not just the patient? So
Absolutely.
I'm realizing that when you are yourself in an entangled mess, then you really can't help anyone else. But if you have your act together, if you will, yeah, if you really know what you're thinking, doing, saying, if you have all of the things in control for yourself internally, then you're able to give much more to people around you in general. It's
Indeed.
not just the patients. And the same thing then can be extrapolated to our personal lives, or what we see in personal life can be extrapolated to the professional life. So in every sphere of life, I remember I would get upset very quickly in those
Mhm.
days, irritated very quickly. In fact, I had no patience. I wanted everything chop, chop, chop now. And that used to create a lot of stress to
Yeah.
people around me. I was a very type A personality, very competitive, always on the go. And so now over years, I have, again, because of understanding other people's psyche, and just being more connected with everyone around me, I feel that I can understand other people's pain. I can understand where they are coming from, And if they are not able to perform, I don't get upset, I don't get angry, I don't get irritated, you know, like I used to in those days. So when you don't have unnecessary, unbridled expectations from other people,
All right.
right? And when you understand that you're here actually to give rather than demand from people, then automatically relationships improve. So yes, personal life also becomes very beautiful.
Fantastic. And you kind of addressed one of the concepts which was running in the mind was that, see, in today's parlance, and you would meeting so many people who are coming looking for spirituality as a panacea or helping them out on several parameters, but they'll also come with a lot of misconceptions in their mind.
Yeah, yeah,
Thinking about, so one of the misconceptions which I've typically heard from a lot of people is that spirituality, does it have relevance in the lifestyle we leading today, in the modern lifestyle? And you kind of elaborated that so nicely, and that made me rethink, saying that maybe the relevance of spirituality in today's modern lifestyle is much, much more relevant, much, much
yeah.
more needed than it was maybe several decades back. Any thoughts around that?
Right. No, you answered it very beautifully yourself. You know, it has never been more relevant, yeah, to practice spirituality, do meditation than now. Things are getting worse around us. There's so much of uncertainty, so much of fear, and if we don't work on ourselves, if we don't ground ourselves now, then we will be, falling apart, and all the people who are connected to us will also fall apart because of us too. So we have to work on ourselves. This is an important aspect, which is actually um, quite left onto the back burners, that maybe later. It is, like Stephen Covey said,
Hmm.
out of those four types of, activities that we engage ourselves in, this is important but not urgent. But I feel this is actually important and
And
urgent. Yeah, yeah,
100%.
we have to do it now. If not now, really speaking, never.
Correct, correct, correct. Quickly touching, and I took the liberty of reaching out to several people and trying to just collate in terms of what potential misconceptions might be there in people's mind. So one was which we just discussed about saying that relevance in modern day life. Some of the other things came across very interestingly. Uh, Misconception number one came across saying that it means that you have to renounce your so-called family life, etc., and become a sage kind of a scenario. So that's where people were relating spirituality with. Another came across that maybe the age factor, and any not a good age factor, but typically people say, hey, maybe when I'm 60 plus, that's the time when I should look at spirituality. Some of the others talked about saying that, hey, if I'm going to get plugged in spirituality, I'm expecting instantaneous result, that overnight something is going to really dramatically change for me.
Yeah.
Some of these things, anything you like to highlight on these, or maybe some other misconceptions you might have heard from people you came across?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have brought up very relevant points. One of the things, going back to the aspect of why meditation is needed at this present time because of the
Mhm.
chaotic situations that we see around us. There's this nice anecdote of one of these Zen Buddhist jokes, where a man comes to this big monk, the abbot of a monastery, and
Mhm.
asks, "How long should I meditate?" So he says, the abbot says, "For 15 minutes a day at least." So he says, "But I'm too busy to take up 15 minutes." Well, then you should meditate for 2 hours a day. Yeah, so the busier you are, the more meditation you need, just to keep yourself grounded.
Correct, correct, correct.
Yeah, so yeah, we all have time. On one hand, we say we don't have time, we don't have time. And many, many years back, some very senior meditation teacher, Brahma Kumari, said to me when I spoke loosely, "Oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do this or that."
Mhm.
And she said that actually, when we say we don't have time, it really means that we don't know how to manage time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so in a way, it gets written on your forehead, that I don't know how to manage time. Yeah, when we say I don't have time. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want the world to know that we have zero time management skills.
Right.
So yeah, so really speaking, we have to take out time now. And also, these aspects about how, does this make you like a sage? You know, but what's wrong with being a sage or a saint? Being a better human being is a good thing. I don't
Right.
see anything wrong with it. But you see, it doesn't mean that you have to go into a jungle and stay there in a small hut, or you have to climb up a mountain and find a cave to hide there. It
Correct.
actually it's not true. Raj Yoga is a beautiful practice that allows you to live in the world. In fact, it discourages leaving the world, because you are part of the world. You have to fulfill your worldly responsibilities. If you have
Mhm.
work, you have to go to work. If you have children to raise, you raise them. If you have spouse, parents, whoever else to take care of them. But you see, in general, are we able to do all of that well? Yeah, because of our own egos and our own internal messes,
Mhm.
we're not able to perform well. When was the last time we were able to communicate with love and kindness and compassion at home, or at work, or even in society in general? So you
Mhm.
see, when you practice Raj Yoga, then you are able to do all of these things very beautifully. In other words, like I said, going back to what I said earlier, you become a better human being,
Right.
a
Right.
nicer, kinder human being. And that starts reflecting in everything that you do, and
Right.
therefore in every relationship that you have. And so it's not that you leave everything. And in fact, let's say you have a car, an expensive car.
Mhm.
How many people are really happy even sitting in that car? Maybe for 2 days, 3 days, there's this happiness. Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. After that, all of the other stresses come into play, and people are miserable in general. You see, we see that all the time. But in the same car, in your most expensive car, most expensive house, whatever place you are, you will find that that experience to be more meaningful for you. You will be able to enjoy life.
Correct.
See, so you're not running away from life, you're actually engaging with life at a deeper level.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's where the experience of fulfillment is.
Correct. Correct. And to our center only over here in Cary Raleigh, I've seen age groups. If you look at it, I've seen
Yeah.
5-year-old kids to
Yeah.
75-year-old young people plugging in at every age level. So I think there's no right or wrong age. Whenever you get started,
Right.
that's the right time to get started, and
True.
more time spent is better.
True. See, in a way, like I was saying, we are souls, right? We are spirits, we are life energies, we are life forces.
Correct.
We are animating this body of ours. And as a soul has no age. Soul is ageless. So, even a small child can learn meditation as soon as I guess the child is ready. But earlier the better.
Right.
Earlier the
No,
better.
that's better. Yeah.
You know, I started all this at the age of what, 24-ish, 24, 25.
Hmm.
So now I'm 50, so 25 years back. So even then, I feel I wish I had gotten it earlier. You know, like they say that somebody has very well said, and I like to use that statement as well for myself. The only regret of my coming to Brahma Kumaris and practicing meditation is that I didn't start it earlier.
Why not earlier? Yep.
Why
Yep.
not earlier? You see, because those years of medical school, all of it is good. You see, is in a way, I don't want to change anything in a way, because I like to embrace all experiences that come my way, all the
Right.
pain that I experienced even before I came to Brahma Kumaris. That also was good because in a way it fueled the search for higher dimensions of existence, of higher consciousness. But
Right.
sometimes I think that if I had gotten it before medical school studies, in the beginning,
Right.
I would
Right.
have performed even better. There would have been less stress and much more fulfilling experience.
Yep, yep. And actually, if I could look at it in a different analogy, right? What I was thinking was that a student in a college gets admission, a very late admission,
Hmm.
where the session has already started, ran for months, and he plugs in fairly late, and the exam is around the corner. So while the other students had time to prepare for that exam for, let's
Yeah,
say, 4 or 5 months, now this student, new one, has only less than a month to prepare. What it typically means is he'll have to put in more effort,
yeah,
more intense effort to really catch up and for the lost time and do much better with the class. And the same applies to you. In your case, you mentioned, same applies to me. I plugged in very, very late into the journey of spirituality, just a couple of years back, give or take, and I had already touched my 50 plus at that time. So that means I have to put in much, much more intense effort if I intend to catch up with people who have plugged in earlier.
so true. Very well said. Yes, Ajay bhai. So basically, you see, the earlier you start, it's better. You
Right.
never know what's around the corner. See, life is going to throw all these curveballs at you, at us.
Correct. Correct.
All
Correct.
these challenges are going to come. The more prepared we are, you see, the better we will perform through these. That we won't allow these situations to break us apart. So we have to put in a certain amount of effort into it. And as we start if we start late, then it becomes even more difficult. See, life in general is becoming more and more complex. Remember those days in medical school, there weren't any cell phones, no bills to pay. So sometimes we would sit at the center for hours together.
Mm-hmm.
So all that we did was study, go to clinics, because in internship you have to go to clinics, and then go to the meditation center. And I remember the days when we would be off. Sometimes we would just sit in meditation for 8 hours straight. And now sitting for 30 minutes, 45 minutes becomes difficult with all these cell phone notifications going on and so many things demanding our attention.
Right.
So I'm so glad that I was able to start early. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
and and also, in a way, Brother Ajay, the thing is that you don't know, not just you don't know about challenges, but you don't know how long you're going to live. You see, and that's the truth of the matter.
Right.
Nobody knows. We all have come with an expiration date,
Absolutely.
but we
Absolutely.
don't know. The whole joy of this, the beauty of this, is that we don't know. It could be tomorrow, it could be next year. But what if it is tomorrow? Then, I would miss out on all these beautiful understandings. So I think, in general, I inspire people to not wait for tomorrow, wait for next year, because many times I hear from people that I will probably start this next year, maybe, or after fall, after this, after that.
Right.
So in a way, tomorrow never comes. You see, and it's really now or never. We have to start now if you want a more fulfilling experience to life.
Correct. 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 Actually, reminds me of small anecdote about a tribe which is there in Africa.
Mhm.
And what is said that this tribe, whenever they dance, it starts raining.
Really.
And people went and asked his tribe, saying that people are inquisitive as to what's the truth behind this? Does it really happen? What makes it happen? And so they asked the question to them, and they said, "How does it really happen?" And the head chief over there responded, "We dance till it rains." So at the
Yes.
end of it, it's all about you said we don't know how much time we have on this planet Earth,
Yep.
but whatever time you have, can you really start as early as possible? Or right now is the time to get plugged in and put in your effort to really make things happen for you. So
Right.
okay, so
Yeah.
lovely discussion, Brother Shwetank. I want this discussion to keep continuing on and on. I have already a lot of follow-through questions in my mind, which we have discussed that we'll do a podcast series. So we'll possibly do that for the next session across in terms of how do we individually in today's modern world apply these and really get started on the spiritual journey because there'll be so much of data and so many pointers to discuss. But for today, if you're okay, I've prepared some rapid fire questions for you.
Sure thing.
So we like to end today's session with those rapid fire questions, and the expectation is you respond to them either in a word or maximum a sentence.
All right. All right. Let's see. Let's try.
Let's try. Okay, fantastic. One word you live by every single day.
Love.
Meditation, one sentence, how would you describe it?
Being centered.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Remind myself of who I am.
Okay, one piece of advice if you were to give today's youth, what would it be?
Be better human beings.
Be better human beings. One moment from your journey that you'll never forget.
I don't remember, or I don't want to remember the past really.
Mhm.
I want to stay in the present moment. So, in a way, I remember every moment. I cherish every moment. Everything that has happened in my life has been for a reason. I love and cherish every moment, honestly, all the good and the so called bad days. So, I cherish every moment and I cherish this moment. I know that was a longer answer than what you expected.
No, it's perfectly fine, actually. Perfectly fine. Because some of them you need to elaborate to give that feeling and message out. So, completely understandable on that. One last final question. What does peace mean to you in just 3 words?
To be who I am.
To be who you are, actually. So, knowing your original self, you talked about the self realization initially when you're talking. So, bring
Yeah.
that a little bit across. Okay, cool. Fantastic. That brings us to the end of the rapid fire, Brother Shwetan. Before we sum up our today's discussions, anything as a closing comment you'd like to leave for all of us?
No, I was thinking that we could meditate for a few minutes. I was hoping that, we could end this session with some gentle meditation just to give people a taste of what meditation is. And
Absolutely.
if I may, yeah.
Please, absolutely. A fantastic idea.
So I was thinking that all those who are listening, um, this is not live really, but eventually who will be listening to this podcast, I invite all of you to take a moment to stop what you all are doing, if it is safe. If you're in the middle of driving or cooking or whatever, and you can't take a break, it's okay. But try to bring yourself to here and now. I love to do this practice for myself, and I invite you to do this with me now. It's a provocative thought, really, to think that there was no past, there will be no future, just this present moment. Ancient mystics, even philosophers have said that there is no past, there's no future, really an eternal now. So let's bring ourselves to this now. And in a way, to hear, are we here or are we all over the place? And if we are all over the place, it's okay. Let's bring ourselves to this space to hear. And for a little bit, feel as if nothing exists beyond the room that you're sitting in, beyond the space, the physical space that you are in. And of course, there is no past, no future, so nothing exists beyond this present moment. Just a complete void. And now, in this here and now, look within. There's a beautiful space that you hold within yourself. You might have taken lots of different journeys, vacations, but I invite you to take the journey inwards within. And what that means is reflecting on who you are. Are you the person you see in the mirror, the body, and all its labels? You are, but actually, you're more than all of those combined. See yourself as the light, the life, the being, the energy that gives life your body, but also to all of these labels. See yourself as that energy that is eternal, immortal, indestructible, imperishable. I invite you to stay in this state for a couple more moments. And then I also invite you to continue with the rest of the day holding on to this reflection of who you truly are. Om Shanti. And Om
Om Shanti.
Shanti. Yeah, I just wanted to let the viewers know what Om Shanti really means. Om in Shanti probably has numerous meanings in the world out there, but Raj Yoga teaches us a very simple understanding of Om Shanti. Om means I am, and Shanti is peace. It's a reminder that we are inherently peaceful beings. Peace is our innate quality, innate nature. This is who we are. So, Om Shanti to all of you.
Om Shanti. And Brother Shwetank, thank you once again for joining us. And we'll be hearing more from you in our upcoming podcast series. So thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Brother Ajay. I thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, this conversation with you, and I can't wait for the next episode. Om
Thanks a
Shanti.
lot. Om
Thank you.
Shanti.